Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time, been very busy. I hope you are doing well. I hope you're doing very well. I would like to share, I would like to share with you some thoughts regarding a concept, a business concept that is really interesting and really actually quite terrifying, which is fungibility. It helps us understand a few things that otherwise are not self-evident regarding narcissists, the dynamics they have, the way they function, the way they think, and also how we interact with them. And understanding this makes it easier for us to avoid being manipulated, to see part of the scam, part of the way they function, part of the way they manipulate us and they use us. So let me explain to you what this is. The notion of fungibility is something that comes when goods are interchangeable. What I mean by this is if you lend $100 to someone and they pay you back $100, you don't, in principle, need it to be the same dollar note, the same $100. $100 is $100. If you make a wire transfer from one account to another, $100 moves around, you get paid back, you get $100 back. It is not the same thing, it's interchangeable. If you take 2 bottles of water of 1 liter and you mix them both into a pot, you can't re-separate the 2 bottles of water, because now you'd have 2 liters of water and the original water has all been mixed together. You could say if it's 2 different brands of water that it is not fungible because they are they're different. There's different mineral content, and to some extent you are right. However, you can't re-separate the water. It's a bit different if it's water and oil because you mix the 2 together and they do separate. Those are some examples of things that are considered to be fungible. Now, some things that are considered to not be fungible would be houses. 2 houses will be different. Even if they follow the same architectural plans, they will be different. If the 2 houses are quite different, then they are very clearly not fungible. 2 works of art, they might be roughly the same, but if the reproductions have got different numbers, that might make a difference. But you wouldn't say that you exchange one painting for another completely different painting and say, well, it's 2 different paintings. Only an idiot, or rather a bad faith person would do that. That would be typically what you would be seeing with it's what you'd be seeing typically with a toxic person. Same thing with used cars. With used cars, even if it's 2 identical cars, identical models, identical years, they wouldn't be having the same count or the same. They wouldn't be in the same situation. So if you lend someone your car, you expect to get your car back, not an identical model. You want the same car back. Now, why is this interesting? Well, on the one hand, we know that quite often toxic people have financial problems and they expect us to solve the financial problems. They will ask us to help them out, to lend them money. Now, one way to think of this with fungibility is if you lend them money, you are de facto subsidizing what they do with the money. So let's say that a toxic person has a problem with using illegal substances or even just alcohol. You don't support them using alcohol. And they say, I need money to pay for medication. And let's say that they'd be functioning off, I'm just inventing numbers, $2,000 a month. And you give them $200 a month because they're already spending the $2,000. You could say, well, I'm buying the medication, I'm giving them money for the medication. The fact of the matter is money is fungible. So you are subsidizing $200 worth of what they're doing with the money. There's no difference between giving them $200 for medication and then they spend another $200 on alcohol, or giving them $200 for alcohol, because money is fungible. So if you are supporting, and I understand you want to help, you want to pay for medication, if you give them money, it is fungible. If you buy the medication yourself, you could argue, well, that's a bit different. However, if they would have spent the money on medication if you hadn't helped them, well, all you're doing is you're freeing up the amount of money they can then spend on alcohol. I remember years ago sitting in a cafe, and there was a person who clearly was a a user of illegal substances who asked for money. And I was a poor student. I got some money out of my pockets. I gave it to the person. And then I realized afterwards, I mean, she looked down and said, "What, is that it?" I thought, well, that's a bit, weird. You come and you beg for money, I give you something and you're not happy. But then I realized the money I gave, it wasn't much, just a few dollars. That was basically subsidizing the person's alcohol consumption or illegal substance consumption. So really think of it this way. You wouldn't subsidize somebody using cigarettes. Well, probably not. You probably wouldn't subsidize, you wouldn't buy a bottle of vodka for an alcoholic. Well, probably not. So if you give money to an alcoholic and you know that part of the total amount of money they have, part of that will be used for alcohol, there's no difference because of fungibility. And this is a great way to unguilt trip yourself when somebody, quote unquote, asks for help. Because money is fungible, you have to remember that if you provide them with any kind of support or help, anything that's money related, you are freeing up money for them to use on things that maybe go against your values. They promised they wouldn't do otherwise. Be it alcohol, substances, cigarettes, gambling. You have to remember this. Money is fungible, so providing them with money or providing them with anything that impacts financially is in effect subsidizing how they use the money, whichever the way they want to use the money. If you have any questions about this as we go along, don't hesitate to put questions in the chat. And by the way, also you can let me know where you're joining from. It's always good to see this. So on the one hand, money is fungible. On the other hand, we know that one of the things toxic people are addicted to is attention. Now, for most of us, we consider that human relationships are not fungible. So spending an afternoon with one friend versus another friend is different. You might enjoy both of them, and they're both your friends, but if you spend an afternoon with a Bob or an afternoon with a Kate, it's not the same afternoon. As we know, toxic people, narcissists, function on attention. This is the weird thing. For them, attention is fungible. Whether they get attention from you, from Bob, or from Kate, what matters is what is the quantity of attention they are getting, and sort of what is the quality of attention they are getting, not who is giving the attention. So we assume if we build a relationship over time that we care about the other person giving us attention, and we give them attention because we care about the relationship. For narcissists, this is really, it's like having a vat of water, and you can pour water in from any bottle whatsoever. They do not care. All that matters is how much water is in the vat. That's all that matters for them. So you go, well, I'm giving you so much. There should be a bit of gratitude. They go, well, I'm taking it from you because I can get a lot from you for little effort. It's not that your water is better. It's not that I care more about it. It's easier for me to get a high quantity of water from you than it is for me to get the same quantity from other people, and I will go wherever I can get the highest quantity of water for the least effort. It's as simple as that. For us, it's strange because we will typically believe we care about each other, we care about the relationship, we care about sharing things and spending time together. They don't view things that way. They really view it as being, where can I get the highest quantity of attention from for the least amount of effort? Because for them, attention is fungible. That's one of the reasons why it's so easy for them to enter a relationship, find someone else, and just act as though nothing happened, because it's all in the past. The quantity of water that's in the vat is the quantity of water in the vat. How they got the quantity of water doesn't lead to any kind of reciprocity or, heaven forbid, any kind of gratitude. It's the stuff they got, and if they got it, then why on earth would they be showing any kind of gratitude for something that they already got? It's there. They have the water, so why should they be doing anything else about it? It's there. What are you going to do? You say that you owe them? They don't care. They have the water. You can't take it back out anymore. Anyway, and we'll assume, but it's my water. There's something precious. It's my attention. It's my friendship. It's my romance. There's something precious. No, not at all. Not at all. It's simply volume of attention for effort required. Now, this leads us to the next part, and this is the correlation. which is really, really disturbing, is for them, people are fungible. The relationship with you is a fungible relationship. It could be you, it could be anyone else. It doesn't matter. You could imagine if somebody has a spouse and the spouse passes away. Some people will never remarry, and some people will have a new relationship, and they will also usually be thinking it's a new relationship, it's different, it's not easy to move on. If the other person passed away, it's not the same thing. But of course, the relationship's not fungible. They'll remember the former partner. And so what most of us do, we remember former partners. Each of them are individuals, they're different, they're not interchangeable or fungible. But imagine what it'd be like if you viewed human relationships as fungible. Well, you'd be able to end a relationship with no problem and just replace them with someone else. So we assume that we're building a relationship with someone who cares about us. No, they view us as a supply for attention, and we're completely fungible, completely interchangeable. The picture that I used for the cover, it says rather nicely done. I found online now by Sketchplanations, where they talk about things that are fungible, so mutually interchangeable, so money, fuel, commodities such as, I guess it looks like butter, corn, some other heap of something, and things that are non-fungible, not interchangeable, houses, art, people, used cars. And on the fungible side, or he asked the question, if you borrowed one, would it be odd if you returned a different one? On the fungible side, the answer is no, it would not be odd. If you lend me $100 and I give you back a different $100 note, you don't really mind because it's fungible. On the non-fungible side, it would be strange. You lend me your car, I come back with a different car. That'd be odd. Now, for a toxic person, for a narcissist, this is the bizarre thing. For them, it is not odd if they leave the house one morning and they come back in the evening, there's a different person in there, provided the person gives them enough attention. So we'd assume you care about the person. Not toxic people, they don't. They care about the amount of attention. They'll be thinking like, is it an upgrade? Am I getting more attention than before? Does it require less effort than before? If it does, it's an upgrade. And one of the things that they're going to be doing is they're going to be scouting out for the best sources of attention that they can find and see where that leads them. So we normally assume that we build a relationship with someone who cares a bit about you because we don't consider it as possible for someone to view others as being fungible because we view people as being individuals. However, if you take into account, so let's assume it's the case. Let's assume some people view others as being fungible. All of a sudden, their behavior makes much more sense. All of a sudden, the speed at which they replace a person with another makes much more sense. All of a sudden, the speed at which they say, I'm committed to this relationship makes much more sense. It simply is a price of admission to have access to the attention. And a bizarre thing is, when you meet a toxic person who does the love bombing, we'll assume it's because we are exceptional. We usually don't assume this is how they behave in order to get whatever they want. And we just happen to be the person who's on the receiving end of it. There's, what is it? Oscar Wilde had this quip who was saying, a man who marries his mistress creates a vacancy. It's always good to see who switches from one relationship to the next very quickly because it shows they're capable of doing that. When someone is capable of jumping into a relationship incredibly quickly and feeling very intense emotions, they're capable of doing it. So it's strange to be on the receiving end, but if you're on the end of the person who keeps pushing forward, it could be that it's the best thing that happened to you, possibly. It could also be that this is a person who views relationships as being fungible. After all, don't need to take very much time to get to know someone, so probably you don't need very much time to get to know someone else. There we go. That's what I wanted to share about this. Let me know in the comments if you found this was helpful, if you learned anything, if anything surprised you.